It's Kristjan from Base, and I'm back with this week's hot buy-to-let investment picks from Zoopla. So as always, we will get started with our first price bracket, which is up to 500,000, and this 2-bed on the market with Next Move in Stoke Newington instantly caught my eye. It's on the market at offers over 500,000, which is a really decent price tag. Now what struck me with this property, really good natural light. There are certain things that you can't change about a property, and natural light is one of those things. It either kind of gets it or it doesn't. So the skin and bones of this property, all the rooms look well proportioned, decent sized bedrooms, and you've got a combination of a communal garden. You've got a Juliet balcony overlooking the garden, bathroom. This is the communal garden. That's the block. It's a small ex-council block, just 3 floors, and this is on the first floor, so middle floor apartment. Really nice size, and this a section of this is private to the flat. I believe the far end section where you can see the shed. Now my advice would be, this is a great one to purchase, but I would go in there, I would straight away do a cosmetic refit of the apartment, providing the head lease permits it, wooden floors throughout, modern kitchen, modern bathroom. Don't need to rethink too much stuff. I would keep things like all this built-in storage, maybe just modernize it a little bit for tenants. Practicality is really, really key, but I would just bring it up to the latest kind of modern standards. The kitchen and bathroom, the kitchen's quite dated and the bathroom is pretty basic, so I think that's where I would be looking to add value. I would also invest some money into the garden, particularly the private garden bit. Make it good, low maintenance but appealing. Put in some built-in box seating, maybe a little fire pit, and some planters with some really low maintenance shrubs in. Gardens are so often overlooked and provided in a very basic standard. Make them appealing and you really add them as an asset to the room, and you're going to increase your rental value. Now I would say if you do the changes that I've recommended, I see no reason why you shouldn't be looking at somewhere between 2250 and 2400 a month, which represents a pretty comfortable return based on the list price. Couple of things to flag: service charges not too bad, come in just under £2,000 a year. You just obviously want to double check what that includes. Years remaining on the lease, 97 years. Not bad. It has snuck under 100, but it's comfortably over 80. But you might just want to inquire as to what the mechanisms are to extending that lease if you wanted to. Typically with councils, they're relatively straightforward. They tend to follow best practice, and they tend to follow quite a transparent model in terms of lease extensions. But obviously once you get under 80 years, it can be difficult to secure lending on there, so that's just something to keep in the back of your mind. But yeah, otherwise you're surrounded by trees, own section of garden with shed, large living room, etc, etc. So if you like the looks of that, get on the phone to Next Move, identify a couple of those details that I've highlighted, and make sure you get in there and start looking at that and bidding on that now, because you buy that property now, let's say an average sale, let's hopefully think you can get that across the line in about 4 months, which would be the end of July. Go in and do a 1-month refurb. You get the property back on the market in peak summer season, when that garden is going to have its greatest value, because it's when tenants can go straight in and use it, and it's also typically the busiest time of year when rents tend to be running at their peak. So really good opportunity to be buying into the market right now. Moving up to our next price bracket, up to 750. This 3-bed on with Chestertons really caught my eye. 550 fits well under our 750 price. It's a 2-story maisonette, ground and first floor. I'm not sure exactly which one of these it is. But it looks like it's had a recent cosmetic refurb. It's got laminate floors throughout, a really nice tidy patio garden with patio and gravel. Nice and low maintenance. Modern kitchen's been fitted with electric oven and hob, extractor, all the bits and pieces you want in there. I can't tell whether there's a dishwasher in here. If there isn't, I would absolutely look at trying to get one of those retrofitted in here for renters. It's pretty much a must-have nowadays, and they're really cheap to put in. Bedrooms all look decent sizes. You've got IKEA furniture in here, so it looks like it might have been rented out in the past. Looks like it catches some nice light. Slightly smaller 3rd bedroom. It's the only sort of caveat. but nice modern bathrooms, hallways, and it's pretty much a turnkey property ready to go. I would expect to see that property really renting right now for about $2,500 a month, and potentially in the summer when it's peak season, that garden is extra appealing. You might be looking at squeezing that up to $2,750. Now, unfortunately, there's no information about ground rent, service charges or years left on the lease that I can see here, so it is really important, if this piques your interest, that you do talk to Chestertons about those elements. Being ex-council, I would expect the ground rent to be minimal, around £10. Service charges probably be somewhere in the region of £1,500 to £2,000, but it's really the lease length again you need to be aware of, because again, you drop under 80 years, it can be really hard to refinance or sell to a mortgaged purchaser, so just bear that one in mind. And finally, last but not least, up in our £750 to £1 million bracket, this property on with Cluttons and Islington up in the Crouch Hill area caught my eye. Now, it caught my eye particularly because Crouch End, just up the road from Crouch Hill, has just been voted the best place to live in London, so it's going to be getting a lot of attention at the moment, and this house has already been converted into 3 turnkey flats. So you've got a private garden out the back. The only thing I would suggest is I would chuck a little bit of money at that garden about making it a little bit more low maintenance and a little bit more practical for tenants to use, particularly if it's going to be a shared garden for the 3 flats. You don't want that to fall on one particular tenant to be looking after that, but looks have been done nicely. Modern kitchens, laminate floors throughout, white walls, double glazed, like pretty simple stuff, nothing too outrageous, metro style tiles, and you know, all the sort of kind of classic design lines that we would expect. Big sash windows. You've got two bed 2 bath flats on the ground on the first floor, and then on the top floor 1 bed flat of over 500 square foot. It is a freehold property, so no lease, no service charges, no ground rent to worry about. Nicely done out the front with bin stores and everything. I actually think Cluttons have sort of estimated this should be worth about $4,750. I actually think they're being a little bit conservative. I think that should be achieving at least $5,000 a month once fully let. I would expect the 2 beds to be achieving at the very least $1,800 a month each, so that's $3,600, and I would expect the 1 bed to be achieving sort of at least $1,500-1,600, maybe more, so that already gets you over to $5,100. So I think you should be looking at about $5,100 a month, and you might, depending on the time of year, but depending on the tenant, and you might need to dress the apartments to achieve top whack. You might need to furnish them, but a worthy investment. You might be able to tease that up to sort of around $5,500, maybe even $6,000 if you've got it really bang on the money. But that is an absolute turnkey investment. Like I said, the only thing I would recommend would be investing into that back garden, just to make it a slightly better long-term viable space. So that's it. That's our 3 properties for this week. Hopefully something interesting there. If you like what you've seen, get in touch with the agents listed, get those critical inquiries in, get in, see them, offer, and build, start or grow your portfolio. Thanks, guys.